First item will be a roll call.
Spence Redwine,
Here.
Brett Evans,
Here.
Charles Shear,
Here.
Mary Karam,
Here.
and Susan Arthur.
Here.
I want to turn that down a little. It's on the verge of feedback.
Is that good? Is that better? Fanchon? How does that sound? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, I want to welcome everyone this morning to our February 25th meeting of the Planning Commission for the City of Denison. Few faces that are not familiar to me, so I'll go over a little housekeeping rules this morning. The Planning Commission is a recommending body, so decisions other than plats and site plans, which are final with us, other cases will be sent to the City Council for final approval. And I believe that will be on their first meeting or second meeting in March? Second meeting of March.
Charlie, March 2nd.
March 2nd? Okay, March 2nd. Okay, so cases that are heard today will be on the March 2nd agenda for the City Council. That being said, we're going to move into number 3 items for individual consideration. Mr. Medina.
How about the minutes?
Oh, yeah, we do need, it's not on here.
It is.
Oh, it is? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Also, first thing, before, if you planned on speaking this morning, addressing the commission, if you would, when you come to the lectern, if you would please give us your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate that. All right. So item 3A, we're going to hold discussion, take action on the minutes from the January 28th meeting.
I've got a small thing here. On the last page, where it talks about, Chair Shearer noted that he could not speak, that sentence, I think it should read, but her concerns were shared. They've got, it's just verbal, but,
Okay.
instead of concern.
Did you get that, Bill?
Which section?
In the next, I guess it's the third to last paragraph, in the middle of the paragraph where it starts off, Chair Shear noted that he could not speak on a future development, on any future development plans, comma, but her concern doesn't read right, so it needs to be changed there.
Okay.
Instead, yeah, it should be concerns.
Got it.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes as corrected.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 3B. Mr. Medina.
Good morning, all. Item 3B is receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a site plan for outdoor power sports. Denison, located at 315 South US 75, Denison, Texas 75020, case number 2019-68SP. The applicant is requesting approval of a proposed site plan to build a 20,000 square foot outdoor power sports dealer on a 3-acre site along US 75 south of the existing Ford dealership. Staff has reviewed the application materials with the zoning ordinance and the approved Chapter 380 Economic Development Performance Agreement that was approved by City Council. Staff recommends approval of the site plan. Here's the proposed location. Here's that property outlined in red. As you can see, it's zoned commercial along Highway 75, meaning it's in the Highway Overlay District. Because it's in the Highway Overlay District, site plans are required to be approved by this body. Here's the site plan itself. You also have copies of this in your packet. And the next slide here is their site area exhibit. This lays out their parking. Due to the slope of the site, it is a little bit tricky, but you can see that your yellow is going to be, and I have printed out versions underneath your packets for you as well for closer examination. Your yellow is going to be landscaping. Red is employee parking, and blue is outlined as where the product will be displayed at. Yeah, and customer parking, I'm sorry about that. So that would be over here. So your red is employee and customer parking. Here's the landscape plan. And I believe there's additional information in your packet. There is a landscaping plan and a tree preservation ordinance, or not, sorry, ordinance plan as well. They are showing to, hang on, let me get my stuff together real quick. Yeah, they're proposing to save a combination of 19 cedar and pine trees in varying diameter from 6 inches to 18 inches. They're also proposing to save oak trees in the rear of the property to count towards their landscaping requirement.
Bill, is this the plan that was creating additional landscaping that would butt up to the landscape buffer?
So you will have additional landscaping on the southern part of the property and in the rear. The applicant is also electing on their own choosing to add a slight 4-foot buffer between their property line and the green belt. So we went ahead and counted that towards their required 8% landscaping, and they're exceeding that. I'm present for any questions that you may have.
I'm curious about the tree preservation plan, where there's some trees that were in plan to keep. From looking at that map, it looks like there are.
Yes, so if you look here, at the bottom, you can see towards the, I think that would be the south of the property. Those are the trees that they're outlining there to be proposed that they would save. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions of staff? Yes, sir. Anyone here to speak in favor of this request? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none. Discussion among the commission?
Looks like they've done a lot of good work.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll entertain a motion.
I
Move
mean,
to approve the proposed site plan for the outdoor power sports Denison.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
That was second by Mr. Evans. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 3C.
Item 3C, receive report, hold a discussion, and take action on a site plan for an expanded use. The existing 5-star storage located at 3621 Pottsboro Road, Denison, Texas, 75020. This is case number 2020-003SP. The applicant is requesting the approval of a site plan in order to expand the existing storage facility and use. Property is currently zoned as commercial and located within the highway-oriented and corridor district. Staff recommends approval. So this item is a two-part. The first step today would be this site plan review and approval. The second one would be their conditional use permit. Because it's zone commercial, that would need to be, we would need a new conditional use permit for the existing site. That's in the later item. So this first one, let's see. It would be a roughly 16,000 square foot open air boat and RV storage, similar to what's already on site. Here's the subject property here. This picture is a little old. This has been expanded since this photo was taken. Here's that zoning. It's adjacent to the ETJ. This is the proposed site plan. As you can see, the size and scope is already consistent with what's existing. This is a picture of what exists currently. Now, as you can see, there's screening all around on all sides. In addition to, you can see what the open air RV boat storage would look like. It wouldn't be visible from the public right-of-way. It wouldn't be visible, even frankly, from driving into the facility. We recommend approval. and I'm present for any questions that you may have.
Any questions of staff? Yes, sir. Anyone here to speak in favor?
Good morning. My name is Casey McBroom. I'm with Cross Engineering, 1720 West Virginia, McKinney, Texas. And I'm the engineer of record for this project. Really here to just answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. Any questions of the speaker? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Think so. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval of the request for a conditional use permit for the subject property.
Motion?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. All right, we'll move to public hearings. Item 4A.
This is item 4A of our public hearings. Receive a report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation on a request for approval of a conditional use permit for the expanded use of a storage facility for five-star storage located at 3621 Pottsboro Road, Denison, Texas 75020, case number 2020-002 CUP. The applicant's requesting the approval of an expanded conditional use permit in order to expand the existing storage facility. The property is currently zoned as commercial within the highway overlay, as we just mentioned. Staff recommends approval. Again, here's that subject property here. Here's that zoning. This is their same site plan that we just looked at. As the previous item was more associated and looked more in depth on the actual footprint and layout of that project, this item, the conditional use permit, you're approving the additional use, which would be in this situation, additional storage facilities. I'm present for any questions that you may have. The hours of operation wouldn't change. As you've saw in the last picture, there's already existing boat and RV storage, so the use isn't changing, it's just expanding their facility.
Thank you. Questions of staff?
Right, it said site plan, so I need to
Yeah.
amend my motion.
We need to do that. Depends on his motion.
One that we just,
Okay.
Was to approve the CUP and it was to approve the site plan.
right, I said conditional use permit, I should have said site plan. This is
Okay.
for the conditional
Correct
use
that.
permit.
Okay, we'll get that corrected.
I got ahead of myself.
Thanks for letting us know. We'll get that corrected. Thank you.
There you go.
I'll keep an eye on that. Huh?
Do we need to go back and redo that motion?
Fanchon, would you like them to go back and redo that motion?
Sure. Let's go back. Go ahead. Okay, so let's go back to item 3C. And Spence, would you go ahead and redo that motion, please?
I move to recommend approval of the request for a site plan for the subject property.
Second.
And we have a second. Mr. Evans, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There we go.
We'll keep an eye on that when it goes to council.
Wish I could blame it on somebody else.
So now are we to a motion for item, no, we're not. Never mind. We have comments.
Yes, you have, it is a public hearing, so we need to open that
Yes.
public hearing.
Okay, any questions of staff? Okay, thank you, Bill. Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in opposition to? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and Chair will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the conditional use permit.
Second.
Motion with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Item 4B.
This is item 4B. Receive report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation on a request for approval for a conditional use permit for the allowance of a cabinet manufacturer for for Texoma Woodworks LLC located at 1611 West Morton, Denison, Texas, 75020, case number 2019-122 CUP. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit in order to operate a cabinet manufacturing facility and showroom. Property is currently zoned as commercial. Staff recommends approval. This is a public hearing. We recommend conditional approval of this item here. There isn't anything outstanding that is concerning from staff. We just want to see a finalized and revised landscaping plan. We've been working with their project manager on this. Here, we feel that we have enough in their site plan to move them forward and recommend approval. Some of the things that we want to see are calling out the landscaping items, the trees, the shrubs, percentage of landscaping, things like that, which aren't really shouldn't hold the project up in any way. We've also had our firefighters look at this project. Previously, there wasn't a fire lane in the middle. We've since added that. We've also going to be adding a fire lane along the front. Originally, the applicant was proposing to have these slopes along Morton as customer parking. However, we thought it would create a traffic congestion if you were to have folks backing out onto Morton, so we had that be changed to a fire lane instead. The hours of operation would be from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. This project consists of manufacturing space of approximately 1,500 square feet. 1,500 square feet utilized as storage in these buildings to the north of the project site. An additional 2,500 to be utilized as assembly. And then we'll have about 2,200 square feet of retail, storage, office, and bathroom space for customers as well to come in. I'm present for any questions that you may have, and we recommend approval. But before we move forward, I wanted to share something with y'all. Robert Lay and the Code Enforcement Department, they've been working really hard on this site for a while with the property owner. This is what the site used to look like. I believe it was the old coal lumber facility. This probably taken about maybe 6 or 7 months ago. And then here's the site today. Looks really good. So I'm present for any questions that you may have.
Questions?
So I'm trying to understand what's going to happen next as far as we're concerned. So after you work with them, will it come before us again, or it's done?
Yeah, so we would like to get this site plan approved and just take a final look at it to make sure that it does have the landscaping items called out, make sure that there's going to be, have our fire department look at it one more time, make sure that fire lane's going to be sufficient, if they need to maybe make some slight adjustments. But the footprint of the buildings as it exists and the use would not change.
That would stay the same.
It would stay the same.
Anything else?
Is that building on the west end, is that part of it?
No, that's a separate property. Yeah, I think that's an old like drive-through or drive-in.
Is that where the canopy is?
Yeah. And just to clarify, this body is recommending approval of the conditional use permit. That site plan is part of that review process. Taking a look at the site plan, make sure it's going to have adequate traffic flow, circulation, some of the things that we talked about, such as backing up on Morton. So that site plan is just a component of the conditional use permit, which City Council will make a final decision on the second, pending your recommendation.
This seems a little different than our usual.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else from staff? Anyone here speak in favor of this request? All right, anyone here to speak in opposition to this request? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval of the request for a conditional use permit of the subject property, pending final staff review and approval of a revised site plan.
I second.
Okay, have a motion with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. And I see nothing else. Bell's got to talk to us. Kimberly's going to talk to us.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to give you a couple of updates on some of the things that staff is working on. I think we've been silent for a little while on some of our projects, and so I just want to be sure that you're kept informed of some of the activities we're working on. What was going to be sort of a general housekeeping and cleanup of the zoning ordinance, we were planning to do a complete overhaul of the zoning regulations. This is going to require preparing an RFP and finalizing our scope of work and sending out to consultants who may be interested in working with us. Due to our initial understanding of the potential costs of this project, that's why we're having to slow down and go through the RFP process. With Manjeet on board and assisting me, we are going to be issuing that sooner than later now. We have talked to a few firms just to get a feel of the nature of what we're going with and what we'd like to pursue. So I think you'll be really pleased with the direction that we're going with. Once we get that all together, we'll come back to you and share, what direction we're going with, what consultant we're going to choose. What's really exciting about this is we wish to not only do the housekeeping and cleanup of all the items that we previously discussed, but to address some of the other challenging issues that we've talked about different types of housing choices, overlay districts, making the ordinance more graphically interesting and less sort of regulatory looking with how it's structured now. Also taking out any of the construction and design standards that are in there and getting those back into our public works design manuals, things like that. So I think you're going to be real excited about the direction that we're going with that. So, but what we do want to bring before you sooner than later is a couple of just little cleanup items regarding our fencing regulations and the dumpster requirements as the city contemplates eventually moving towards hopefully a front-loaded dumpster. So we need to just formalize that in our ordinance as we work with applicants who are the new construction applicants. And then the fencing, it's just come to my attention as folks are continuing to replace their existing fences that our regulations are pretty lenient on the type of fence, the size of fence, what side of the fence is facing our public right-of-way, and then our corner lots and how those fences are being erected as well. So we're hashing out some of those details, working with our building official as well, and we want to bring forward to you at the next meeting a revised language for that. So do you have any questions about those two items before I go on to just a couple other little ones? Does that all sound good? Okay. And just to keep you updated, we do oversee the Community Development Block Grant Program. Community Development Services does. Every year we have an annual plan, but this year we have to actually update our 5-year consolidated plan. That includes how we're going to utilize our CDBG funds over the next 5 years, which also influences the activities of our planning department as well. So we just want to let you know that we're working on that. We do also have to get an RFP and a scope of work out, and that needs to be completed by the end of summertime. So just to keep you in the loop on that. We do have a committee that Spence is on that oversees that work, but I just wanted to inform the Planning and Zoning Commission as well of the housing work that we're doing. And let's see, what else? We are also finalizing a revised application to address the H Bill 3167. Recently, due to not having a quorum of the Planning and Zoning Commission, one of the applications that was supposed to be denied or was recommended to be denied was automatically approved and will have significant impact in that neighborhood if and when that plat gets filed. So what we're doing is we want to continue to improve communications with the Planning and Zoning Board to make sure that we have a quorum because there is a state mandated timeline, in which case that we as staff don't have control over once we've run out of time. We are formalizing our application process to inform and formalize when an official document is filed officially, so that we all know when the clock starts, and then starts the timeline in which it limits staff and you, the board, in which to render a decision. So we're going to implement that sooner than later. This was a unique case. I don't anticipate this coming up very often. It will not impact the community as a whole or the landscape or anything like that. It was rather a plat that wasn't necessarily the best designed and had some unique infrastructure challenges with getting water and sewer to it. So now that we know, using this as an example, we believe this example will be shared with other communities and other folks that are reviewing this legislation and giving feedback to the state legislature next year on some of the challenges with it. So if you have any questions about that, I can answer them. It's a challenge we're all facing. Excuse me?
How many alternates do we have at present? I know is Mike our only alternate?
We have two. And we have vacancy for how many? So the other challenge that we face, which we are also going to bring forth to the next meeting, I think, is or maybe I should look at Bill, is right now, a quorum normally represents 3 of 5. But our ordinance actually outlines that 5 of 5 need to be present in which to render decision. That's something that the city has adopted and which we can change as soon as we get the language to you. So we're going to do that because it's really, I think, one of the challenges to getting all 5 to come to every single meeting, even with the alternates, is sometimes, things happen. So we realized that was something in our ordinance that we need to change, and hopefully you'll be supportive of that as well. And that should solve most of those challenges with quorum. Any questions about that? We discover everything every day in our ordinance, so that we continue to improve it. Any other questions that you had for me? Great, thank you.